Hey, welcome to the broadcast. My name is John Mayfield, the real estate tech guy, and I have got some great questions that I've been preparing that it maybe could have recently been seen on the real estate examination. So be sure and stick around with me because we've got several questions we're going to go through, and I'm going to get to them very, very quickly. First, I want to remind you to subscribe to my YouTube channel because next Thursday I'm going to be doing a six figures webinar. Now, if you're watching this a little bit later, I'll have information down below in the show notes where you can subscribe, sign up, and watch the replay if this is several months later. But I am going to share with you ways that real estate agents are generating great income in this business. So be sure and check out down below in the show notes how you can access that webinar, but subscribe to the channel and you'll be able to be notified when we go live next week. So thanks for joining. Let's get right into our broadcast and take a look at some more questions that I've been developing for you to help you pass that real estate exam on the very first attempt. Well, this specific question here says that Larry is explaining to Julie and Rick some important details about real estate financing. Which statement did Larry make that is incorrect? Okay, so one of these is incorrect. Now, we may have seen this on the last broadcast, but I think, if not, we'll go ahead and go through it very quickly. Remember, the promissory note is a security for the deed of trust. The mortgage and or the deed of trust, depending on which state uses what item, is what is the security instrument. Okay, now some states use what is called a mortgage. There are two parties. If your state has a mortgage, you have a mortgage or the borrower, and you have the mortgagee, the person who is lending the money, okay? In a state that uses a deed of trust or a trust deed, there are three parties. We have a trustor, the grantor, the borrower. We have the trustee, who's a neutral third party, and they really have two jobs. I'm giving you lots of possible exam questions here that you could answer. Trustee has two jobs. Number one, foreclose if you violate any of the terms of the contract. And number two, issue what's called a satisfaction piece or a deed of release or a deed of reconveyance. You could see any of those, release deed, part of the defeasance clause in the trust deed. So when the note is defeated, they issue you a deed of release or a deed of reconveyance, release deed. Any of those things they could use. Under a mortgage, we call it more of a satisfaction piece, but the mortgagee will issue that. The bank will issue that. So three parties in a deed of trust: trustor, borrower, also the grantor, trustee, the neutral third party who has those two jobs. And then you have the beneficiary. That's the lender, the person who made the loan. And they employ or hire this trustee to work for them and do those two different items. Get the property back, foreclose because you didn't pay your taxes or didn't pay your insurance or didn't make your payments, or maybe did something else, remodeled the house by. One time I remember a gentleman who was remodeling his house. He took the windows out, but he never put new windows back in. Well, the lender could foreclose if they see the properties being damaged or depreciated in some way, okay? So mortgage, deed of trust, security instrument. Mortgage has two parties: mortgagor, borrower, mortgagee, the person lending. And the deed of trust has three parties: trustor, borrower, grantor, trustee, neutral third party has those two jobs to do, and the beneficiary, the lender. Okay, got that? So the mortgage or the deed of trust is security for the note. But in this example, as you can see, the promissory note, that's an incorrect statement by Larry, because the promissory note actually shows evidence of the debt. I would have you write that down if we were in class. The promissory note or the note shows evidence of the debt. It contains the interest rate, the loan amount, all of the terms. It shows evidence of the debt. It does not secure anything. The note does not secure anything. It's the mortgage or the deed of trust that secure the property. That promissory note shows evidence of the debt. Okay, good job. We're going to continue on here with our next question, which says, Sean is a real estate agent. When I write these questions, I think of my friends, and my friend, Sean, is an attorney and a very good attorney. But Sean, if you're watching this YouTube video, he may some night just be up deciding to watch what Mayfield's up to. But Sean's actually an attorney, but in this case, Sean's a real estate agent, and there's lots of people named Sean, right? So, but I thought of you, Sean, if you're watching when I wrote this. He has an agency relationship with Mickey. Which of the following agency does Sean have with Mickey? Or which of the following agency or what type of agency does Sean have with Mickey? That's how I should have written that question. Does Sean have a general agency, a fiduciary agency, a special agency, or a universal agency? Well, good job. Some of you said, John, it's a fiduciary relationship. So Sean is a real estate agent. He has an agency relationship. Which of the following agency does Sean have? He has a fiduciary relationship. Now, some of you may be saying a special agency relationship, but it's a special agency is the type of listing agreement. When you have a listing agreement with a client, you do have, it is a special agency, but Sean actually has what is called a fiduciary relationship. And that's where we talk about COLD, C-O-A-L-D, care, obedience, accounting, loyalty, and disclosure. So anytime you're a real estate agent for someone, you have a fiduciary relationship. And again, this is a great question because sometimes you're going to see questions that part of the answer could be true. But of the two answers where part of them are true, which one is the most correct or has a little bigger meaning? And in this case, it would be an agency relationship. Now, of the following choices, which one would not be a requirement to the validity of a deed? And I always want you to read your questions 3 times. Is it designating the grantee, delivery to the grantee, execution by the grantor, or recording the deed? So of all of those choices, which one would not be a requirement to the validity of a deed? Well, it's the recording of a deed, okay? That is not required for the validity. Designating the grantee, that would not make it invalid. Delivery to the grantee, that would not make it invalid. Execution by the grantor, well, you got to have that, so that would not make it, invalid. But recording the deed is not a requirement for the validity of a deed, but you do need those other 3 items. So sometimes sometimes I read the questions and I'm like, wait a minute, I kind of thought it might be this one, but when you reread it that second or third time, you really understand what they're trying to ask you. So read those questions a few times. Farmington, Missouri has the power or right to take real estate for public use. What is that called? Well, ad valorem, we know, is under our tax chapter, which is called according to value. Eminent domain, well, now that's the right to take property, isn't it? Right of rescission, that doesn't fall in this category. And escheat is when you die without a will and without heirs. Now, I used to say, and you can just buy the digital flashcards at my website, Global Real Estate School, but now we have a brand new package it's called right here, the Ultimate Real Estate Exam Prep. It has digital flashcards. It has my real estate exam coach, which is a great tool in itself. I was selling that for the same price I'm selling the whole bundle. Now we've included all of the practice questions. I'm recording podcasts. I have a really cool microphone I should show you over here that I'm recording those questions on. But I'm telling you what, it has lots of great information. So check it out. It is called the Ultimate Real Estate Exam Prep, and it is on globalrealestateschool.com. It has lots of flashcards, and so that would help you with that question here, because you're going to learn all those definitions, and you would immediately say, well, John, the correct answer is B, eminent domain. So the right to take real estate for public use is called eminent domain. The process of doing that is called condemnation. And remember, 3 items need to be present in order for condemnation. You need it to be, it has to be for the good of the public. They can't just take property out of no reason at all. So it has to be for the good of the public. You, as the homeowner, need what is called due process of law. So it has to take time. So you could hire an attorney, do investigating, do the discovery, have all that stuff they do before you go to court. So due process of law has to be for the good of the public and just compensation. So I wish I could tell you I've been a hearing commissioner on several properties in my area that have been taken by eminent domain, and I'd love to tell you about that process, but we're covering questions for the exam, and I don't want you to hang up yet, because I need those good statistics where you stick around for a while. Okay, so the question was eminent. That was the last slide. So the answer was eminent domain. Hey, that's all of the questions we had for this specific episode. But don't forget, we've got that brand new program, Ultimate Real Estate Exam Coach. It works in all 50 states. Check that out, and be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's not just about real estate exams. We are going to be getting into helping you grow your real estate career as well. And I'd love for you to subscribe and leave some nice comments. And then don't forget, we have a podcast. The podcast is totally different from the YouTube channel, because the podcast actually helps you study anytime you want to put your earbuds in. So check that out as well. You can go to globalrealestateschoolpodcast.com. It'll take you right over to iTunes. Well, as always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being a part of the broadcast today. Tell others about Global Real Estate School, and go out and make it a great day. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the podcast for Global Real Estate School. I'm John Mayfield, the Real Estate Tech Guy. Go out and make it a great day.